morning, everybody. Today is March 26th, Thursday. We are here for a work session. We're thankful for each and every one of you watching and here in the room with us. And at this time, we'd like to stand for the pledge. And Councilman Rothwell, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. This time we'll just go over a few announcements that we have. We have quite a few. We have our beach stickers are in. They're in our rec department, so you can call them or reach out to them or come in and get your beach sticker. We're excited about that. We also have our next America 250 May 1st at the Suffolk Theater. It's called the Great American Bash. We're excited to be celebrating the 20s with some swing dancing and a band. It's going to be a great time. Again, you can call our office. Reach out to the Suffolk Theater. Any information you need is available here through my office. And this Friday, the Recreation Department is holding their Easter egg hunt at Stotsky Park. And again, our Recreation Department does such a great job. Reach out directly to them. They'll get you all the information. And so many things going on this weekend. On Saturday, we have Andrew's Top Gun Run. 7:30 a.m. You can register on site at EPCAL. And Sunday, for those of you who didn't get enough running in on Saturday, there's the Act of Valor Foundation Run, and you can register directly at the VFW for that. Do any of the council members also have announcements? I believe you do.
Yes, we're asking everyone, remember that America 250 Parade is going to be on July 4th. It's going to be in our beautiful historic downtown. We're asking everybody to sign up for groups. And also for our floats and join in the celebration. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I just want to put the flyer up so everybody can see it. If you would, Supervisor?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
It's terrific.
Looks great.
It's going to be a great event, and 250 years is pretty amazing. So everybody come on out and celebrate with us.
It's going to be awesome. Anyone else?
I have this.
More flyers.
It's finally here. The East End Emerald Society Jamesport Parade is this Saturday, March 28th. Kicks off at 1 o'clock from Washington Avenue and heads east. There will be an after celebration at the George Young Community Center. Afterwards, it's free of charge. There'll be vendors there and entertainment. The bagpipes will be playing as well over there, so come on down. The weather's supposed to be beautiful, sunny, temperatures in the 40s, so let's get out of the house and go parade watching.
Absolutely. So many great things to do this time of year, and we're all ready to get out of the house because we've been winter. Councilman, do you have anything?
We're all excited about the parade this weekend. Lots of good events coming up.
Absolutely,
Everybody
absolutely.
marching?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. So, and then we have our open session that we'll begin with, and this morning we will begin with our assessor. We're asking matters surrounding consideration for the tax exemption for the disabled veterans. And so we've asked some of our veterans to come in. We've gotten some calls about this, so we'd like to invite you to the table now, along with our Mrs. Tannenberg and Mr. Rothwell and myself, just to come down. She's going to explain it to you, Laverne, if you would come down and explain it to everybody. So, gentlemen, if you'd like to join us at the table, we would love for that. There's been a lot of questions posed and asked about this, so if you guys could just identify who you are for everybody watching at home, that would be great. Oh, sorry about that. Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you. Tom Nigel, VFW Commander, Riverhead.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Frank Conroy, South Jamesport.
Morty Steiger, former commander of the Riverhead American Legion.
Bob Rovish, Commander of the American Legion.
I want to thank each and every one of you. There's just, we've gotten a lot of calls, and we know it's clarified, so we've just asked for you to come in and kind of explain where this legislation is and where you feel like it's going, and thank you for doing this for everybody.
So back in January, I notified the town board about a law that the governor signed on December 19th, authorizing municipalities to opt into granting an exemption for seriously disabled veterans. The qualifications were they had to be discharged or released under honorable conditions. They had to have a qualifying condition as defined in Section 1 of the Veteran Service Law and received a discharge other than bad conduct or dishonorable. is a discharged LGBT veteran. That's the Restoration of Valor Act, where I think veterans who were LGBT were given a dishonorable discharge, but the state can't change that, but they said they would recognize, that's called restoration of honor, is considered to be permanently and totally disabled as a result of military service, is rated 100% disabled, excuse me, by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, has been rated by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs as individually unemployable, and this is the most important part, who is eligible for pecuniary assistance from the United States government or has received pecuniary assistance from the United States government and has applied such assistance toward the acquisition or modification of a suitable housing unit with special features or movable facilities made necessary by the nature of the veteran's disability. And then it goes on to say that you become fully exempt from taxation from municipal charges and special district and special ad valorem levies. So you have to meet all the requirements. Then, on February 13th, the governor signed an amendment to this law under Chapter 77, making it mandatory. However, it doesn't become effective until October of 2026.
Basically, to clarify that,
So the issue is moot at this point.
yeah, so to clarify that, because some towns have been passing legislation, adopting the disability benefits for veterans, but we knew back in February that the governor said it's mandatory, so it's not necessary for any local municipality to pass any laws. You've already got it through the state. Some municipalities are still doing it. I think it's more of a photograph show to say that here we are and we support veterans and we're stepping up, but it's not an action that is necessary, like, on the town's behalf. So we want, I myself met with a few families that came in and asked about it, and we forwarded the legislation, because what they were bringing in was accurate, but they were bringing in legislation from the original thing, and then the governor did update that on February 13th, so everybody gets it. We've been I've been a representative with Chad Lennon, legislator Chad Lennon from Suffolk County Legislator, and what they've done is we've taken a number of representatives throughout all of Suffolk County, so in all of the towns, and Legislator Lennon is doing an awesome job advocating to the governor's office to simplify this process, because it's too much documentation by it, and they should be able to either go to the Norfolk VA and have one physician fill out something to complete it, and for them to review all the things to set one form. So they're trying to simplify it, because it is a lengthy process in the end to actually get the full disability benefits.
Well, we have 68 veterans that are 100% disabled on our system, which represents 2.9 million of assessed value, which is a $38 million market value. There's a move afoot maybe to just eliminate the pecuniary assistance, and if you're 100% disabled, you get 100% tax break. I don't know where that's going. I don't know if there would be a local option, but it's very important to note right now that it says that you have to have the pecuniary assistance to adapt your housing or to buy housing adaptable to your disability. You just can't be 100% disabled, and I think that's
I think that excludes me.
that excludes most veterans.
100% unemployable for post-traumatic stress. I don't know how you make a house suitable for post-traumatic stress.
Correct.
So I would be excluded.
According to the law, it says, and you have to have or be eligible for pecuniary assistance to modify or adapt your housing to accommodate your disability. Now, somebody had told me about special monthly compensation. Are you guys familiar with this term? That if you're disabled, there's all kinds of ratings for loss of eye, limb.
Right, there's ratings on the VA.
Levels of disability, yeah.
You mentioned, excuse me, you mentioned that you have figures on veterans that might be eligible. Now, I currently get a reduction in taxes based on my combined rating, which is 70%. I've been deemed above that totally and permanent disabled due to PTSD, and they pay me as unemployable. So your records would not show that I have a...
Correct. You have to be 100%
I-
overall rating. Because there are multiple
But it
ratings.
said total unemployable.
But it said also 100%.
Yeah.
So you have to be 100% rated.
Anybody gets a disability from the VA gets a letter every year to help facilitate, anything that you may get from the town. And it specifically says you're being paid 100% rate because you are unemployable and are considered to be tonally and permanently disabled.
Right, that's different. That's for employment purposes, but you have to have an overall combined rating of 100%. They're different, and we've confirmed that with the VA in Suffolk County. And we have an 800 number of our veterans can ask for their overall rating, and it has to be 100%.
These are the things that Legislator Lennon is working on behalf of, representing all the towns, and so we meet on a regular basis, but you're falling exactly in there. There are other veterans from Vietnam. First of all, thank you all very much for your service. So greatly appreciated. But there are veterans in Vietnam that are now beginning to see major effects from Agent Orange and other things that perhaps they weren't experiencing those effects when they're younger, and it's very difficult to go through the documentation process to get them approved.
But we wanted to have you here because we know there's a lot of questions, and we know people that you guys represent them, and yourself included, and our assessor's office is continually keeping their finger on the pulse. We sat down and she's monitoring it, and if we can come out to you, to wherever you are, and help explain it, help stand before them, and then take their concerns back to our legislatures, and help them to understand where it needs to go or where it needs to be, and all of the concerning factors. That's what we want to do for you, because I know we've all received calls, and we just want to make sure that we're answering those questions. So, good job.
This law wouldn't apply to me, but I think it's important that we show up and support those that it would help.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a great thing. You see the commercials, Wounded Warrior and all that, WMPTs and stuff, that mostly young soldiers, where this would really be a great assistance to them and their families. So I think it's a great thing. I just wanted to ask one other question, and this might be out of place. I don't know if it's part of this legislation, but did it include spouses of police officers killed in the line of duty? Was that?
So we'd already passed separate legislation for
separate,
police
okay.
officers as well as for firefighters.
Gotcha. All right.
And so I think we're trying to do everything we can to cover all of our uniformed personnel
Sure.
across the board.
But again, in full support of this, I hope, I'm glad it's something that had passed
Well,
already.
the other thing I want to bring out is that maybe those young guys from Iraq and Afghanistan don't own real property, and they get no benefit other than maybe their monthly payment. So, why doesn't the state give an income tax break to those kids or guys? If they're, I don't know, maybe they're not employable. So, again, it only rewards those people that own real property, and it doesn't reward those that rent.
Right.
So there's that dichotomy of who we're benefiting, and only if you had the luxury of buying property after you got out of, let's say, Vietnam, and now all of a sudden you're 100%, you had the ability to buy the property years ago, but now these young guys coming out maybe they only rent a place, I don't know. But again, it has to be adaptable. Their home has to be adaptable, and that's the criteria. That is, it's not or, it's this, and this.
But that requirement is not fair, especially with veterans with PTSD. So you have an adaptable home doesn't necessarily, to me, represent
And
what's
it's very
fair.
specific, and those
It's not your fault,
specificities.
it's the VA's fault. It's tough to be 100% and not be 100%.
But
And at this point, a lot of us, that were in Vietnam, as you had mentioned, some of the problems don't show up for 25, 30, 40 years. And especially when they, one of the requirements that they throw at claimants is, well, you didn't report it within a year of discharge. But if we got discharged in 1970, it took them until 1990 to admit that Agent Orange had a bad effect on you. So that's way beyond the 1 year.
Of course.
And, as we get older and older and older, you get more problems. A lot of it is related to Agent Orange.
And it's a shame because we do everything for 9/11 responders, and we take care of things, and it's a much easier process for those that, even volunteer firefighters and law enforcement personnel and military that responded to 9/11. It's a relatively easy process, to gain financial assistance and help. Yet we still, with Veterans Vietnam, in all the years, we still have not made the process easier for those that, like you say, pulmonary issues, lung problems, and so forth. Many years later, from Agent Orange, now trying to have to prove the connection to Vietnam, and it's unfair.
And PTSD wasn't a thing in 1970.
They never admitted it.
Yep.
A lot of things they never admitted. They never admitted that people who were in the Navy in Vietnam were exposed to Agent Orange almost as badly as the guys on the ground. And it's really only since the PACT Act that they have admitted that blue water sailors were affected.
Like Bob says, the environment's always changing. Like I served Afghanistan and Iraq, 2 tours in the Middle East, and now they just came out with a presumptive for burn pits. So I had to refile for that, but that just happened maybe a year or 2 ago. So the environment's constantly changing. We have to keep refiling for these things. But it seems that what you just mentioned, it seems like quite a bit of hurdles to jump.
Exactly.
It's a limited
In
amount
order
of
to
veterans that
get accepted
But
for that.
what it does is it makes them pretty much wholly exempt. So there's a reason why, the legislature needs to look at it, and the town, because again, it's an erosion of the tax base and everybody else pays the difference. And, we have to understand that we have veterans, we have seniors, we have persons with disabilities, we have agriculture, we've got IDA. About 1/3 of the property, about 20 to 30% of the property is off the tax rolls.
Yeah, but
So
our
again,
our veterans have earned this.
Correct.
And deserve this.
Correct.
And should be
But
given.
they become 100, they pay no tax. So again, it's
But they've suffered the consequences of the sacrifice that they made in the military, and so they've earned that. So we want to make sure they get everything they're entitled to. And it is, and to clarify, it's state legislation, before the governor's office and the Assembly and Senate. But Chad Lennon is trying to bring in, on the county level as well as then County Executive Ed Romaine and Bruce Blakeman from Nassau and Suffolk. We're trying to just raise like a larger voice so that the governor will listen to us and make this process easier for veterans.
I know that the current Secretary of Veterans Affairs, he is really on a mission to improve the relationship between the VA and the veterans. For a long, long time, the VA was kind of set up as a roadblock for giving out benefits, and he has really made it clear. I was at a conference with him a couple of weeks ago. He's made it clear to all the VA employees that they're there to serve the veterans, not to protect the government. And so hopefully all of these hurdles as far as getting to 100% or maybe changing that law that it's if you're 100% for PTSD or something that doesn't require house modifications, that you can still get some sort of a benefit. I mean, I think we all get a small benefit for a
you get half
tax.
of your rating.
Yeah.
Whatever your rating is, you get 1/2.
Yeah.
Up to a certain cap. So
But, hopefully, but we're really here just to, support everybody who is supporting us.
That's what we wanted to answer questions. There's been enough questions that have come into all of our offices. We wanted to let you know, keep this table open to you, that you can come back, and we want to fight, all of us want to fight for you, or like all the way up. We want to put pressure on the people above us and make sure, but thank you so much for coming and answering these questions. You've been great. Thank you guys all for coming today. Appreciate
Your
all.
service.
Thank you for considering this for the veterans. Thank you.
Parade on Saturday?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, we'll see you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yep. Thank you. Yep. Bye-bye. Thanks, Tom.
See you Saturday.
Okay, thanks.
Our next matter at hand is matters surrounding improvements at the George Young Community Center. And we have that with Mr. Testa, who is outstanding. Come on down. He has a report. Hopefully everybody has a copy of it.
Yeah, I brought extras because I wasn't sure if you had it. Came in a little late. Does everybody have a copy of?
I do.
Yeah, you do. Okay. So as you all probably know, or too well, the heating system in the George Young Community Center was put in 1976 when the building was converted from a schoolhouse to a community center. And when they did that, they basically put the equipment in the attic before they built the ceiling. So we have, if you look at the pictures and you flip to the back, you'll see that we have a situation where the equipment is pretty much entombed in the attic, making it really difficult to get the new equipment, to get the old equipment out and get the new equipment in. And what further complicating matters is the newer code requirements require such things as fire dampers and fresh air intakes and economizers that take up a lot more room. So it's a very challenging project to do. We've been able to keep this equipment running it's 50 years old. So we've done everything we can to keep it running. Right now, it's only running on the backup electric resistive coils, which is really expensive. It's a heat pump, and heat pumps at certain temperatures don't perform well, like below 30 degrees, especially these older ones. So when that happens, they switch over to these giant hair dryers that are up in the attic and in the basement. That's what we've had to resort to get through last summer, and last winter, and that didn't quite get us all the way through. We had a pipe freeze up. So my point is that the time has come. We really don't see how we're going to get by any further. So what I did was I looked around, and Teresa helped, and I found a county contract with the Suffolk County Department of Public Works for a contractor that does this kind of work, and we could retain him immediately. I brought him on board, and we spent some time in the attic, and we climbed around, and all of those uncertainties on how the equipment's going to get in and out of the attic resulted in increased costs, the bottom line. They proposed to take the equipment apart outside the parking lot. The units, take them apart, bring them up in the attic in small pieces, put them back together in the attic. That's like, if you read the report, it's like 60, 70 grand worth of labor. We think there's a better way to do it. I think, well, that's a possibility, and that's where I'm headed. I think we may be able to, looking at the architectural plans to the building, we may be able to close the buildings for a few weeks and open the ceiling, one unit right over the big room, and one unit over one of the smaller rooms. So that may be feasible. I may be able to just open the ceiling and open the joist and take the units down in one piece. And I may be able to find smaller units, and instead of have the system set up so there's one big unit for the big room and there's one smaller unit for the two smaller rooms, well, maybe I can break that up and put 4 units in there of a smaller size that will fit through the existing opening. My point being that we have to do some evaluations of our options, and we don't have a lot of time. So
If you put it in as one solid unit, I think cost effective, I think it's going to be, I don't think opening up the roof is going to be $50,000, $60,000 repair. But my other concern is dismantling these things. What kind of effect is that on the warranty?
Well, exactly. That's part of the problem.
So
That's
they
why.
took it apart in the parking lot.
Yeah,
put it
or
back
in the big
together.
room. I was going to close the big room and have them do it in the big room. My point is that I had this.
You know what I mean? Does it affect the warranties on everything?
I would think so. I would think so. So I do not, in my report, recommend that option. I mean, it's the quickest. I could write a PO tomorrow. It's a lot of money. I think it's way, because of all the uncertainties, it's way overpriced because of us. They're just putting contingencies in. What I'd like to recommend, it was what we did in some of the other buildings, like the TAG building, and when we converted the police station to natural gas. We have an outside HVAC engineer that we retain. He's inexpensive. 2-man operation. They've done a lot of work for us in the past, and they basically will help me evaluate all the options, look at what it's going to cost to open the ceiling, open the roof. We'll come up with the most cost-effective option. We don't have a lot of time. We have to get this thing out to bid like April, May, so we can order the equipment through the summer and get started in September and have heat for next winter.
I think Councilwoman WASKI could get the Jamesport Fire Department to open up that roof in about 8 minutes.
Unfortunately, that roof's not that old, so I thought about that, but I think I'd rather take the ceiling out inside and open the joists up, but structurally, we have to look at, whether we can do that. But we will come up with a solution, and it'll be the most cost-effective solution. It'll meet the current code, which requires minimum amounts of outside. It's a place of assembly. So there's requirements that go above and beyond if it was, just a general municipal building, as far as fire dampers and smoke detectors and fresh air intake and everything, and economizers that help cool the building without air conditioning on days when it's cooler outside than it is on inside. So we'll incorporate all of those items. So what I'd like to recommend is I have $15,000 in our consulting engineering budget that we keep for just such situations, and we really try to hang on to it, but I think this one would be very well spent. It's $9,200. We will do a lot of the legwork with them. They're just going to look at all the equipment and come up with, do the analysis of which is the cheapest option, get us the plans and specs that we will then incorporate into our big document. We'll go out to bid, hopefully in May, have a contractor by June, get the equipment ordered, and be there in September. When summer camp program's over, we'll hit it and we'll be done by December.
Okay.
So that's my recommendation.
I think it's
I think it's the best way to go.
I think that what we saw this winter, this building has been. We have so many buildings in our town that need TLC and need upkeep, but this one actually needs major overhaul, and we can't. It's a place of our community. I'm so glad nobody was in there. It's just so many reasons why this needs to happen.
Yeah, we've been picking off the list. We did the daycare center, the TAG building on Columbus Avenue. We put a whole new system in that building. We did the ambulance garage. Unfortunately, it got demolished, but we've been trying to do the buildings as we go along. Yeah. One of our other worst ones is the old town hall, but hopefully that will solve itself in the conversion to a justice court. But I think this is right now our number one priority for HVAC.
I think we're lucky, the five of us, that we get the opportunity to correct this and make it right for that community and everybody.
It'll be a good system, and it'll be, the most effective and cost-effective, I assure you, and the most efficient. There was some grants applied for. I talked to Liz this morning in planning. Unfortunately, they did not get approved. The problem always being that facility is not in the more disadvantaged area, so it's outside the boundaries of where it's considered a higher priority, and they don't really like what they consider like maintenance projects. If you wanted to build a playground, there's another application in for a playground and some modifications in the back of the community center, and that one's moving forward much faster than this. They don't really look highly upon these type of projects.
What kind of time frame? I know you're saying, but is there any way to speed this up? Because I'm just concerned, obviously heat was the concern during the winter, but we'd like to potentially, if necessary, during the heat spell in the summer, is a cooling center. So how?
Yeah, well, what we're going to do for this summer is we're going to probably put window units in. We checked, and the windows accommodate window units. We have a whole supply of them in our shop, 6 or 8 of them that we've used in different buildings. So we will get them cooling. The summer camp program, I know it's a very important program. And again, if you look at the pictures, you'll see this system does not owe us anything. It's 1970s, and I'm surprised it
I was
lasted.
4 years old when they were putting them in. That's fascinating.
It's interesting. I was just getting out of high school.
You got your money's worth. I want you to guarantee us this unit's going to give us 50 years.
I don't know anymore. This new equipment that they're putting out, this building, case in point, 20 years old. But to answer your question on the schedule, what we're shooting for is if you approve this and the town attorney's office helps me get a professional service agreement, I get this process started. We're hoping to put the bid out mid to late May. It's about a 4-week job for the design work and evaluation. Award in June. The material will be ordered. I don't want to do anything in the summer because of the summer camp program. So we'll get the equipment ordered, get it all delivered and in place, and we'll hit the ground running right after summer camp ends in September. And we'll have more than enough time to have it done by next winter. The only thing that worries me is always equipment availability with everything that's going on. But we'll deal with that by offering alternate manufacturers. We'll research what's available. If something's got a 6-month lead time, which we've been seeing lately, we'll find another manufacturer that has it more readily available, like Ream or somebody.
You have any rough estimates on overall what you're looking at for this project?
The one in the report, the one that was from the contractor off the county contract, and we spent a ton of time in there, trying to come up with the number, is $400,000. Now, I think that's way high because of a lot of the unforeseens and the taking the equipment apart. The labor in there alone was like $60,000 to do that. I'm hoping to bring this in closer to $300,000.
And just because the units are, the old units upstairs, there's no way that you looked into outside freestanding units at all that you can just simply pipe the ductwork in as
We
opposed
thought
to
about that.
actually building the unit?
We thought about that, and we're going to look at that. The problem is that we could put package units outside. But now you're going to have ductwork coming out the back of the building. Technically, it's a historical building. The municipal garage has that. So now you have ductwork outside, exposed to the weather. And there's no room between the wall in the building and the attic soffit. So we would have to come up and go through the actual roof, which can be done. But now you got a point of potential leakage in the future. It's an option we're going to look at. But I don't like it because everything's outside, the equipment's outside in the weather, the ductwork, I mean, it's just, they take more of a beating. Municipal Garage has just that kind of scenario, and we're replacing those units, and they're only from the, like, late
Go
80s.
down and come up.
Well, you'd have to go inside the building,
Yeah.
and then you'd be taking wall space up. It's an option, but we'd be cutting into some of the rooms, going through the floor. We're gonna look at all of the options. And we're gonna come up with the most cost-effective, and if I get to a point where I'm going to alter the appearance of the building, I'm gonna come back to you and say, here's your options. We can put them in the attic, and you will never know we were there for X amount of money, or if you don't wanna spend that for Y amount less, we can do this, but you're gonna have the ductwork outside. You know, the municipal garage, that's exactly what we did because it's in the impound yard. But the ductwork is taking a beating, the units are taking a beating. We're getting ready to replace one right now that's just been out in the weather, and they do take more of a beating.
I think I'd like to see all those options regardless, put it before the public.
Look at them all.
Certainly.
That's what you said you're gonna do, and I think it's great that your team is gonna take this on and not
Yeah,
just,
it's a top priority.
not just
because
outsource.
we gotta get it done for next
Kenny,
winter.
are you looking at geothermal at all?
Geothermal, you know, it's pretty expensive to drive all those wells in the ground. And because basically all you're doing is using groundwater to take away the heat from the unit and put it back in the ground. It's a pretty expensive thing to do. If we had a grant from one of the energy, New York State Energy Office, something it might be worth looking at. But given the timing here,
Understood.
these are heat pumps, so they're almost as efficient. They're just using outside air for heating and cooling. We have gas at the building, but natural gas, that option fizzled out with all the new code requirements for fire rating in the building. It's a place of occupancy, so we'd have to put fire sprinklers in. We'd have to fire rate the attic. The number was exorbitant. And the heat pumps are more efficient now anyway. Now the gas is so expensive.
I'm really thinking that I am impressed by how much knowledge Councilman Rothwell has on HVAC. Maybe you could do the job.
I think so.
Yeah, there's, you know,
Except you
there's these.
have to pay me prevailing wage.
All right, so I'll send the proposal over to the town
Thanks,
attorney's
Ken.
office, and we'll get a professional
awesome,
service
it's gonna
agreement.
be great, and thank you for your team and all your hard work.
I'll get you a letter report on, you know, what we're recommending out going forward, and if you want to put it on a work session, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you just want to discuss it amongst yourselves, and however you want, because like I said, time is of the essence.
Yeah, let's get this going. Let's do this. It's been kicked down the road long enough by past administration, so we're five of us are so excited.
Say that, past administrations, you don't replace something that's
So-
expired, it needs to be replaced.
So our next matter is Matters Surrounding Live on 25 with Councilwoman WASKI.
Yes.
And so take it away.
All right, good morning. So I brought this to the table today because I have been in contact with Diane Tucci, who did run Alive on 25 previously. She brought it back again last year, and it was quite successful. I really haven't had direction on where that is going, whether we're going to have it, because we do have other events going on. I'm not sure what the budget is with the police department for manning this. I did bring those concerns to Diane, and she was able to come up with a new footprint similar to the Mosaic Festival is changed this year and is going to be on Second Street. She is able to do that if need be. There was a meeting yesterday, a collaboration meeting with the bid, chamber. I'm not, who else was in on that meeting?
The chamber, also in that meeting would have been, wow, that's good, so. East End Arts, I'm sorry, yeah, well, so dual, and actually, we have someone here, from the chamber, in our, today, so they did come by, so,
And what?
keep going, sorry.
So I was unable to attend that meeting yesterday, which was unfortunate. I had a scheduling problem, and I really wanted to be there because I wanted to talk to the different agencies there. But the supervisor was there, and I don't know if you'd like to comment on what was.
Yeah, sure, I asked the question of that, and I also asked of the bid, where they were, because, directly to one of their past presidents and people that are leading it, and just said, hey, does this really benefit our day-to-day businesses? How's the effect? And basically the general sense that we've gotten back is we have a lot going on this year. We have, our American 250 that we're doing all the way through June. We have our cardboard boat race, which happens in August. We have the mosaic. We have our Halloween Fest, which everyone thinks is a driver for our businesses, but they just didn't feel like Alive on 25 was something of necessity that was driving enough to the downtown businesses. So that's kind of the general sense that we got. I did ask them if they would allow their voices to be heard. I asked them if I could say that. They did say yes. And I said, if this is something that you guys want, if it's something that you feel like is a driving force, we want to make sure that we're doing it, that we don't, negate something just because we're not trying to shy away from it. We would go full force. But the voice that I heard back in unison was no. In fact, a lot of them said, we've talked about this on a sidebar, and we feel like it's not something that is benefiting directly all of the businesses in a way that they felt was putting the effort forth. In fact, some of them said, it helps the food trucks more, and while we want to be helpful to that, and we want to bring people to town, we're trying to look this year, especially with the construction and stuff, of what would specifically drive those individual businesses that pay taxes here that do that. So that's kind of the question I asked.
I would completely disagree with that statement based on over the past years. Restaurants like Diggers, it's one of the few nights that you can't get a table to go inside, and Kachina and all the other downtown restaurants, they flourish during Alive in 25. It is a great way for other breweries and institutions that are outside the street limits in other places of the town where they can come in and set up shop and advertise their product and get people to purchase items. I've never heard anybody say that it's not beneficial to the downtown businesses, because I think it's something that many businesses, quite frankly, have looked over. So I'm not really sure where that's come from. That's completely surprising. So
I just wanted to say too that
a great revenue generator. Go ahead.
I thought I understood that with the Alive on 25 programs last summer, that there were pub crawls after the Alive on 25 event that helped a lot of the bars. I was curious, they didn't mention that at all, Supervisor?
They did not. In fact,
Because that was something that specifically the programming was designed to do, that once the event ends at, say, 9 o'clock, the music and everything was going to travel to the other bars, which it did, and Joanne, was that a success? I thought that was very successful.
All the restaurants, they,
Media put it through the roof.
I don't think anyone was saying it. I don't think anyone in the people that were present were saying that it was unsuccessful. They were just asking, and they were saying with the construction and the other things, they saw the opportunity to put the emphasis on the cardboard boat race. They saw the emphasis, and again, it wasn't poison a question, and I asked them over and over. I want to do what's beneficial to them. In fact, I think
What business said it wasn't beneficial? Like who's?
our new person for the chamber, if it would be okay, if she is okay. Yeah, would you like to come up, Mariana, and just express what was expressed there? And I am happy to do this program as long as it has those support. But again, the chamber, the bid, Easton Arts felt like there's some other ways that we could benefit that. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess what I can add as a result of the conversation that I'm hearing is basically, so when we sat together yesterday, all this was brought to my attention, and it was even said that maybe we could do a different event, something that would focus more on the businesses, even if we added something else in addition to like the cardboard boat race and a few other things that we have going. So, as much as, I guess, Alive in 25, benefits the businesses, there's a whole bunch of construction that, is happening, kind of like takes that road out. And then I guess the food trucks was the thing, like kind of taking away from like local businesses and stuff. So they were, discussing doing different things. Some of the ideas brought up was like a wine and dine, type of event, to sort of like enhance like the local businesses as opposed to just, bringing back Alive on 25, just making it a little bit different for this year.
well, I would like to add to this that Diane Tucci did suggest moving Alive on 25 to Thursdays so that there's more people coming into the businesses when it's kind of an off time for them, where on a Friday or Saturday night, they're used to having traffic in their restaurants. But by doing it on a Thursday, that would bring people that necessarily would not be coming to downtown to help the businesses, especially during the time of construction. These businesses are going to need a little bit of, an oomph, not just the cardboard boat race day.
So I have a question. This is going to, the proposed is on Second Street between what and what? Between Roanoke and
Well,
Griffin?
Mosaic is doing
Oh,
that.
so it'll be right over here.
That's Mosaic, that's not, 1125 is still,
Where's 1125 would still be on Main Street?
I think the Councilman Kern's bringing that up because I said that Diane had suggested, because of the construction, doing something similar to the Mosaic and having something here out on West Second Street and then incorporating the pub crawl afterwards to, draw people to go walk downtown.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I would never support Friday night again because, just for the reasons that you said.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
it did have a negative impact on the Suffolk Theater for parking.
absolutely, that's what they all expressed across the board. BID has said they do not want to lead Alive on 25, Chamber said they do not want to lead Alive on 25. Again, they've spoken to their constituents and they've come across with that. They, they really did ask that we put the focus onto the cardboard boat race, so.
Yeah, I mean, to me, they're all different events. That's number one. Has anybody polled the businesses and the food trucks? I mean, 1125, though I think this is a very small stretch, usually gets 4,000 to 5,000 to 6,000 people. So the food trucks can't feed all those people, and that's why the restaurants fill up, right?
We're family of four, always going up and down, and we try this restaurant, that one, and it's based
Oh,
on
yeah,
how long
no,
the wait is and so forth.
Yeah, so,
Where sometimes we get a snack at the food truck, you get something to try something different, and then you finally get into Diggers or something later on at night. But
my concern is the length of this road and how big it's going to be. And the pub crawl, I don't know why it's not done for a whole month, like every Thursday night. I mean, the pub crawl doesn't have to be just the night of 1125. If that's successful, I would repeat that through 2 months on a Thursday night and really promote that.
Yeah, they mentioned definitely changing the night would be better. Friday was sort of not, took away from what was already there. I personally don't see how putting it on Second Street is going to, help those businesses that we're trying to help. I understand with the construction, obviously, but, the Second Street doesn't, I don't know.
Well, if I'm being honest, Diane Tucci did actually say that she would prefer to have it on Main Street. She thought that was a better option. And after speaking with the police chief, he would prefer if the length of the event was shorter so that, it has less of an impact for him.
He asked it to stop at Roanoke and that people would be able to make the right to keep traffic flowing.
Yeah, and
But the problem is, it does shut off Diggers and that part of Main Street.
keep in mind also, I mean, I've spoken to the chief about just events and town square and all that other stuff. To close off Main Street is between $17,000 to $19,000, and his, preference in the future is to have things take place in the town square, where he can, it's condensed and it's a lot less enforcement there. But I am concerned that the length of this is not tremendous. I don't know how what I think is great is that, we have all this parking here. Doing it on Main Street is tough because there's not a lot of parking for the vendors, and I've done probably 12 of those I volunteered for on Main Street, and the vendors, take up a lot of parking spaces. So now you look at the people coming to visit, it gets challenging.
I just remember on social media and so forth last year, we got a lot of praise, and from business residents, out-of-towners, Diane did a phenomenal job putting it together.
In a very short period of
very
time,
short
and now
period of
she's
time.
back in that
She
same
was-
brunch
yep.
pattern.
And I think that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I understand the potential, if it's gonna be more cost for police savings to stop at Roanoke Avenue and allow traffic to flow through, it might be one less intersection that we need to assign officers to, so maybe there's a cost savings there. But it's similar to the Polish Fair. You have events that bring tourism, to bring people into the town, to show them We're under construction, and I think that's great for people to see. Riverhead is rebuilding, and we're a work in progress. And so with Main Street, let's fill Main Street with people. Let's give, if we do it, I think we did it 2 nights last year, right? We could do the same thing 2 nights again, give them that burst of income and energy downtown, because sometimes you go on Live at 25 and this restaurant's full of, you get yourself into another place and you go, hey, I didn't realize this was here, this is great, and then you return back and you go to that, and it continues an ongoing betterment for all the businesses downtown. It's much different when you walk that street as opposed to driving by in your car, and then when you walk in it, it's you understand every boutique, every store, and you go, I didn't realize this was on Main Street, this is great. And so I'm all for promoting businesses, promoting the success. It was a great project last year, did a great job, and I really would like to see this continue going.
Are you talking about Main Street, Ken, or Second
Main
Street?
Street, yep, Main Street.
Especially the ice cream store that's down there. Ben and Jerry's is down there, and, they opened at a very difficult time, and I want to bring people there to help them succeed and have people that don't realize that there's Ben and Jerry's on Main Street in Riverhead.
We can have a battle of the ice creams. We can get Mexicandy to go against Ben and Jerry. Ice cream war.
Candy has excellent ice cream as well.
I think we need to sit with the bid leadership and the chamber leadership, and I think we need to make sure that what we're hearing and that we're doing this, and obviously every person at this table wants to support our downtown businesses and businesses in every one of our downtowns, and I think we need to make sure that we're doing it in the way that they want it done and that they see beneficial to their businesses, because they pay taxes here all year and they bring those people. And yes, and I've been to all the Live on 25s and it's amazing, but we want to make sure that we're doing that, not just because we've done it every year, but that it's beneficial this year as well as it can be. So I think we need to revisit this next week at work session and have some more of those representatives available.
And as I've stepped into this role, so, I haven't obviously been into the businesses to have this conversation, so maybe, it'll give me a week to sort of jump in there and get into some of those businesses and see what they're saying, as well, because I am stepping in and, as you know, it's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of readjustment. So,
Thank you for coming this morning.
yeah, no problem, definitely.
And all of them, but I think this is a healthy discussion. This is what
Yeah,
needs to
this is
happen.
great.
Government.
I would like to take the opportunity to say that if you are a business downtown and you're watching this, or you read, hopefully somebody will report this in the local paper, get in touch with me and let me know how this affects your business. Is it a positive thing? What are the negative things? Is there something that we can change? And that will help us move forward as well.
I think we have to make decisions now. We do need time for planning and so forth, so we can't just keep putting this off. We gotta.
That was my next question, actually. So what is her timeline? Do you have did she say anything?
I think if
Diane?
next week, if we have this, because our next board meeting would be a week from, after that week, so then we can do that within and get it on a resolution.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could probably include her in the next work session as well, so that way, conversation can be had and we can nail it down, whether it's a go or a no. She was willing to be here today, and I suggested that maybe this is a conversation that we all just have to have, with the public input, so.
Thanks for stopping, thanks for being here, and again, like Joanne said, Joanne is our bid representative, so our liaison, so make sure you're reaching out to her.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Our next matter at hand was put on the agenda, matters surrounding the Long Island Science Center with myself and Councilwoman Merrifield. We asked the Long Island Science Center to be here to update us on where they are on their Main Street project, but unfortunately, they confirmed that they could be here and then said that they could not be here any longer. And so we'll be re-inviting them next week and every week until they give us an update, because we need to make sure that we're staying on top of that as we reactivate our downtown.
Well, Supervisor, if I may, I'd like to make a statement with regard to that. We've asked the Science Center to be at work session today to address their failure to fulfill their promises that they made to the taxpayers and the business owners in downtown a year ago. Last April in 2025, the town board, they came to a town board work session, And we were at the point of last April 2025, we were at the point of going forward with condemnation proceedings at that Science Center building on Main Street in downtown. And at the 11th hour, literally the 11th hour, because the paperwork was all prepared to go forward with the condemnation proceedings, the Science Center begged that they could come in and ask for reprieve. They made statements to us over and over again, assurances. I'd ask everyone to watch that video. It's April 10th, 2025. At least 10 times, the representative that appeared before this work session told us that they would be open for business in the summer of 2025. We all had extreme reservations about that, but they kept insisting that they would be open for business summer 2025. In fact, it wasn't just the town board that they made these representations. By speaking to us at the work session, they made those representations to all of our taxpayers and all of our downtown businesses. But what has that building been? It started in 2019. It was purchased by Mr. Larry Oxman. And from 2019 until today, that building has never opened as a science center. And that's very unfortunate, because we would have loved, I don't mean to speak for everybody else on the board, but we would have loved to seen that science center fulfill its mission. And unfortunately for us, we relied on those representations because we all felt that if they didn't get up and going right then and there, that this was not going to be coming in line at the same time as the rest of the town square development. I look back at articles that were written in 2022 and in 2024, where the Science Center was supposed to be an activation for our town square. And our town square is a downtown revitalization program that we received many, many grants for. But to be a successful town square, it was always necessary for an activation. And that Science Center has not, unfortunately, has not become that. Instead, the building has sat for 7 years now, not virtually paying no taxes. The Science Center is on the tax rolls as a not-for-profit entity, basically tax-free. If they had actually been an ongoing business that was a commercial business that was not a not-for-profit, they would have owed the town approximately $340,000 in taxes. Now that's tax money that our taxpayers need. And the business owners downtown in the town square, in the downtown area, they need business. They don't need a vacant, blighted building that deters customers from coming to our downtown. And I'm very disappointed in them that they did not appear today, because I know for a fact, Supervisor, that they were looking for a meeting to speak to you individually. And I find it offensive that they didn't want to come in and speak to the town board and address their failures to us. Because as we sit here today, a year later, from when they came in April of 2025, we still have no opening of that building. We have no opening in sight. In fact, they don't even have building permits for that building, even today. I would have loved it to be a science center, but it was a dream that is not going to come to fruition at that location. And that's the key problem. That location is very important to the survival, the economic development of our town square, for our visitors, for our customers, for all of our taxpayers. And I think the important thing to remember about this whole thing is the hotel is on one side, the Science Center was supposed to be on the other side, and in the center, the town owns the town square. The town square is the drainage for the hotel. The town square would also have to be the drainage for the Science Center. If we do not have a building going forward there, the pavers will be set in the town square, and that would all have to be ripped up again after the eventually, the Science Center, if ever, came into fruition. That would all have to be dug up at our taxpayers' expense so that the proper drainage could be put in. They have so many problems going on right now. First of all, they've never come forward to prepare contracts for any easements to put the drainage in the town square. They have not come forward with any plan for streetscapes. They have to put the utilities down underground on Main Street. They don't have a flood mitigation plan. And the most concerning part to me is that they have mechanics liens on that building right now. There was someone that did some work to the tune of $13,000, a mere $13,000, and they did not pay that contractor to the point that he's put a lien on that property. I have severe doubts. I have absolutely no hope that that science center will ever come to fruition in the time schedule that we needed to for the activation of our town square. And I just want to make it clear. I absolutely want a family-friendly venue down there, and I'm sure we can find something else to come into that location. But I don't feel that with the current pace from 2019 to 2026, that building sitting vacant and blighted, it will ever come online in the time period it's supposed to. And I'm extremely disappointed that no one from that entire board could come in to address these concerns we have, because I relied on those assurances from them that they would have this up and running. And that's why I didn't vote to proceed with condemnation. And as a result of them not being present, as a result of all of their inactivity from 2019 to now 2026, I can't see us holding on, waiting for this dream, and that's what I feel it is at this point, a dream, that that's ever going to happen in the town square. And I feel my responsibility to our town's taxpayers and the businesses down there. We're speaking about the downtown businesses a moment ago and what helps their livelihoods. We need to move on, and I wish them luck at another location. I think it would be a wonderful place if it ever comes to be, but not at that town square. And I would ask that special counsel go forward with all the procedures for the condemnation proceeding. And that's the statement I wanted to make. I'm extremely disappointed that they couldn't even take the time, not any of them, to come in here and speak to us about this. And lastly, I want to just address Supervisor.
Yes, ma'am.
It says that on the agenda for today, that Lucy Barnes was supposed to come in, and it says that you and I had requested them to come in. I'd also like to add to the agenda, it should have said that Councilwoman WASKI and Councilman Kern also wanted them to appear here today as part of the agenda. I meant, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Instead of Council Kern, I meant Councilman Rothwell. So I'd just like the record to reflect that, and maybe have the agenda corrected on that point. Thank you.
But if I could follow up on some of your comments, Councilman Brightfield, when I came into office, so it was over 5 years ago, we sat down with Larry Oxman, and he put forth this set of plans that was phenomenal, to say the least. It seemed to be evident at that time that we were building the Air and Space Museum of a Washington-style museum right here in our local downtown, and it was phenomenal. The drawings, design work, it was everything that Riverhead wanted to create the ultimate activation space that was down there. And the support behind it from the town board at the time, the community was 100%. It just seemed then immediately right after that, silence kind of came about. And for 3 years, we've sat from that point in absolute silence, where no additional plans were coming forth, no revised designs, nothing. And we continue to try to engage with them through all of the meetings that we had and the development of the town square. It just fell silent, and it seemed to be financial reasons, that nothing was, that without the proper finances put in place, it was a project that wasn't going to come to fruition. I firmly believe in the Science Center and wish that they could come forth. They had the idea of philanthropists stepping up and others, but I have not seen a single fundraiser out there in the general public. I haven't seen, any means. We have $1 million grant that I believe is coming up for expiration in June. What I have seen is a building in which they purchased for a small amount of money, and I've seen it's been on and off on the market over the last few years and the potential to sell it. I think that has been utilized more as the Science Center has used it as a realtor holding company, figuring that the town is going to build the town square and invest all this money, so that in the end, we have a vacant building that's next to the town square that they can eventually sell off to somebody else. And I've never seen any real proposals. when we discussed condemnation, it wasn't about putting an end to the science center in any way, shape, or form. It was a motivation attempt to bring them forth, because what still remains and will remain if we don't take action, from my perspective, was all about the safety concerns. This board must provide safe passage for people within that town square traveling on Main Street. The facade of the building is separating. There are cracks in the foundation. We have pictures. It is full of mold and other materials. So as ventilation, wind carries through that building, there was infestation of vermin and other things that around there. There is sewage of flooding that comes out the back. Here we are building and investing taxpayer money, along with incredible grants we received, to create the ultimate downtown project, and we're not addressing the component that sits adjacent to all of it. And so for safety concerns, for public health concerns, I encourage the Science Center now more than ever, if you're going to do this, step forward, submit your plans, and begin the activation. They were here, they revised their plans to make it a much more affordable project. We wanted them to have access and entrance and exit ways into the town square, because we're trying to create that flow from people that are gathering inside the town square and the children's area. The plan works, but if they don't participate and they don't, step up, and money's expiring and mechanics lien, they're all the signs like, how long do we sit idle and say, I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't think they're going to have the funding. We reached out to the Science Center early on to kind of talk about what their things were. When you call a Science Center, it's closed. I mean, they own a building downtown, and they're renting space up at the Tangent Wall. I want the Tangent Wall to be successful, and if that's where they can be successful, but they're not open. The only way that they're open to is if you schedule a class trip to somebody that specifically comes in there. So I don't even want that module to come downtown, and I don't want to, even if they rebuild the building, I don't want it to sit locked up and say we're only going to open up for a class trip. We need an activation space down there. But more importantly, I'm concerned when we look through pictures, and we've put these out to the general public before, there are severe health department concerns in there with mold. There are separations in the facades and the foundation. God forbid we fill the town square and families are gathering, and there's something shears off that building and comes down. You're smiling and laughing. It's not. It's a serious thing that I'm telling you that
I'm allowed to smile. I'm
it's
just not laughing. I'm
but
just smiling.
it is serious, because God forbid something happens down there. We're responsible for not taking action. So not taking action makes a statement in itself. And so I want the Science Center. We've pleaded with them to come forth, but if they're not going to, and they're not going to do this, then we have a moral and a legal responsibility to protect the residents of the town. At some point, we have to take action.
I think that point.
And the time is now.
Yeah, I think that's why they were called here today, and I'm sorry that my general demeanor of smiling is offensive. But if you were with the Science Center, again, we're asking them to come in next week. They will be on the work session again to explain themselves, and we will be moving forward with what we need to do to make that happen and to make the Downtown Activation Center possible as a team of 5. And so I'm looking forward to doing that. And again, thank you for presenting those pictures and your passion for both of it. And I know Denise and I have talked about it, and we've shared that you have done everything you could, Denise, to continue to communicate to them, where they need to be. And so I appreciate that across the board.
Actually,
Sorry, go ahead.
Councilwoman Merrifield had asked to move forward with the demolition of the building, and I second that.
The condemnation of it.
Yes.
So that's the condemnation of it.
Yes.
Okay. So do you not want to have them back next week to sit here?
I don't need them back, and I would ask Councilwoman Rothwell too.
I mean, we have to, at some point, take action. I would certainly be open to one last final call of, come in and tell us what you're doing, what it's there, if you intend to go forward. If you are simply a realtor, real estate holdings company, and you're waiting for the town square to be built, then say it and put it out there, and maybe put it up for sale now and let somebody else come in and be part of the activation space. Because We are investing taxpayer dollars into that town square, and it needs to connect to that building. And so the projects need to coincide with each other. So time is running out because we've got shovels in the ground now. We are actively begun to build our town square, and their silence speaks volumes. So if they're not going to come in here next week and they're not going to put forth their plans, then it's time to move on to something else. Only because I will not agree that it's going to remain there as a closed building, as a health concern, so then we will take the necessary action that we need to do to move it forward.
I just think that they've had all that, and they got that at the 11th hour last year, and it's a full year. I'd ask everyone, April 10th, 2025, watch that video. A full year later, and still no action, just talk. And the fact that they don't even have a building permit in says to me they are not planning on moving forward on this thing anytime soon at all. I think time's up.
So I think that our next board meeting is in 2 weeks, and so we can continue to move forward with the action. We can prepare those things. We can have them at the table next week, and they can make the decisions that they're going to make. They've obviously made those by their action or inaction that they've had up to this point, and so we can continue to move forward. We can give them the opportunity to speak on it. They are the building owners, so that we can extend them that opportunity, and we can continue to move forward in the way that we feel
And
appropriate.
I will say to both Councilwoman WASKI, Councilwoman Merrifield, that at the next town board meeting, I will be your third vote to move forward, with the condemnation if there is no response here. And so this is now their hour to come forth to decide what they want to do. If they are going to do a project, it is time to open up the lines of communication and come forth. But without that, we need to address the safety concerns, and I'll be there to support your motions.
But that's exactly what we did a year ago.
Yes.
I agree.
It was a year ago. So what more can they come in and say? We're going to be open in a month? We're going to be open in 2 months? Not looking at the way this building looks.
I think the public at a work session deserves to hear from them and to understand where they are. That's my feeling. And I think when they come in, it doesn't mean that we don't have to continue to go down the direction that you're requesting.
I understand, but when you're given the opportunity, if you sincerely believe that you are going to be able to complete your project that you are so passionate about, and you cannot find anyone to come and show up to address the board when you've been requested after being idle, doing nothing for over a year when you promised to be open in the summer of 2025, and we're stuck looking at a blighted building downtown that is unsafe, I really see no need to meet with them. I don't want to.
I don't, at this point, I don't think there's anything they're going to say that we can rely on. That's my point.
Good, let's hear it. Let's hear it when they come here. They have nothing to say, they have nothing to say. And it's a done deal.
Sounds good, and sounds like we have a plan, and I agree with moving forward, and we need to take action in this area. So I think that unless someone else has something on that specific matter, I think that ends our open session, and we'll move into our executive session where we have contractual matters surrounding the change of contractual agreement between the town of Riverhead and Environmental Facilities Corp. With PRUDENTI, DIPAOLA, and Allen from our sewer district. So with that in mind, we will be closing and adjourning our work session for today. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.